Hi, Ivan here. You had a question, I got an answer. And since you asked the question, I kind of figured there'd be a bunch of other people with the exact same question. The question was, in classic men's haircutting, whether it would be a big pompadour or more of a side part or even on a slick back, how do we blend that front fringe? That fringe that gives us a little styling versatility, that fringe that gives us a little bit of creativity in the haircut. How do we blend it in through the side, especially in what I'm calling the heavy side? So I haven't really tapered this up tight like a pomp, and this other side is uncut. So what we're going to do is I'm going to share with you how I do this to kind of blend that fringe in a very practical way that leaves the client with styling versatility and a little bit of snazz, a little bit of pop, a little bit of fun in the haircut. I've got my part on one side. I've got my hair traveling over from the part. I've dampened the hair with a little bit of water. And as you know, because I really like it as a cutting product, especially when I'm going to do something like what you're about to see, I put a little bit of lightweight. This is a very light blend, smooth blend styling wax. I put a very little bit of styling wax into the hair because I like to cut with product in the hair. It helps balance the moisture. It gives me clean sectioning. It's easy to work with. It doesn't damage your tools if you're good about cleaning and oiling your tools. So what we're going to do is this. First, we're going to strike a parting. I'm going to strike the parting right here. And I'm going to isolate the top. Because what I don't want to do is I don't want to cut the top. I don't want to cut this corner off. This fringe, this overhang, this corner, that's all the pizzazz of the haircut. That's all the fun of the haircut. That's a really cool part of the haircut. And I don't want to cut it off when I come in and taper up on this side. So what I'm going to do is this. I've distributed my hair off my parting. I've combed it up. I'm going to strike my side parting here, comb this hair down, and I'm going to isolate the interior with a gripper. This is a key to executing this particular element of this haircut. I'm going to isolate the interior with a gripper. I want to leave that alone. We're going to blend it later. Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to taper up this side. Now, we can taper clipper over comb. We do lots of clipper over comb tapering, and this is just a quick and easy way to get some of this bulk down out of the way and start to taper this portion of the haircut in. Okay, I'm not taking all of the hair off this haircut. I'm not going to go crazy short because I do want to save it for some other projects that will be happening later. Mariana Mannequins, thank you very much to Mariana for supplying me with mannequins, but we still want to get as much life out of every one of our mannequins that we can. I'm using my Zoot comb. I'm using it for clipper over comb. It's one of its key intended purposes. Now, if you're less comfortable, less confident, and less experienced with clipper over comb, I will remind you the Zoot comb uses the guard system. In this case, I'm going to take a 1/2 inch, a number 4 guard. I'm going to snap that on my Zoot comb. Now I'm going to use my Zoot comb with my 4 guard in place. And just like a guard on a clipper blade, but giving me the versatility of the over comb cutting action, this just makes it super easy to taper in my haircut clipper over comb. This is a 4 guard, so 1/2 inch, 13 millimeters, a number 4. Now, I'm going to take my 4 guard off, and I'm going to go to my 2 guard. Classic skip guard tapering. I put my 2 on. That's a 1/4 inch. That's a number 2. And now I work lower with that to really tidy up and tighten up just the lower, just the bottom edge of my clipper taper. See how easy it is when you do that with a Zoot comb with the guard system? And don't forget, lefties, if you're left-handed, you simply flip the comb over and the guard sits on the other side of the comb. That makes it very easy to use these. Now, I am going to switch to my trimmer just in the interest of a little finesse. I'm going to switch to my trimmer. I'm going to use my finishing comb on the handle of my Zoot comb See the versatility of this comb? You saw me use it for scissor cutting. You saw me use it for clipper over comb. Now you're seeing me use my zoot comb for my fine tuning and my detailing of my haircut through the perimeter here. It's a beautiful tool that lets me do this kind of work. Okay, I don't want to overstyle or overwork this. I just wanted to be able to get the basic elements or components of the haircut in place. So now that I've got that in place, I had isolated that interior. Remember what this video was about. Let's not lose sight of the goal. This video was about blending in that fringe. So I've done my taper up underneath it. Now I'm going to take this out. I've preserved it or conserved it. Now when I bring it back over here, I've got all that overhang. And this is the blending in that the asker of this question was so concerned about, why this was so critical. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the top of the head right here, and I'm going to make an angled parting from the top of the head to the high corner of the recession here. Okay? That's this section of hair. On a young girl's haircut, this is like that bang triangle, except it's only half the triangle. We've got our side part over here. The hair was coming over. I took this parting from near the apex to that corner. And once again, I'm going to isolate that with a gripper. Now, the question was getting that to blend in. First of all, I'm going to take this hair coming down off the side, and I'm going to blend it in. I can blend that in scissor over comb. I can blend that in clipper over comb. That's artist choice. That's your creativity. What I'm going to do is what I would do in the shop, because I want you to see what I would do in a shop situation with a real client. So here's what I would do. I isolate that front fringe for a minute. I come up here. I use the top edge of my taper as my guide, and I come in, and I simply blend. I blend to that guide length. I just don't want any overhang, okay? Right to it, and take off the overhang. I'm doing this with straight scissors. I'm doing this with my clipper guy, Cosmo Barberology 6.5. My 6.5, this is like my utility infielder. This is my player that I can put on the field in almost all situations. It's short enough that I can work on my fingers for what I call shape crafting. A lot of people know I've always loved my 5.5s. A little small for some of these barbering applications. 6.5, still small enough that I can get it in and on my fingers, but long enough that when I choose to then go over comb, I've got a weapon that can get the work done. Utility infielder right there. Next, I'm going to go to my Clipper Guy Classic Barber Blender. This is my Clipper Guy Classic 46 tooth barber blender. It's got a fine tooth pattern. Notice notches on the non-moving blade. I blended off the overhang. Now I just want to finesse it a little bit. And this is where a classic barber blender is the absolute must-have tool for professional men's hair cutters. On sale on my website, clipperguy.com. Regular price $135, $98.88 is the price right now. Go to ivanzoot.com, click on shop, drop down to clippers and scissors. It's the first item on there. I got 11 of them in stock. Now, we did our taper. We had isolated our side. We brought it back and we blended it. Everything blends beautifully off that side. Now the question is, how do we blend in this fringe? Now I want to make the point of showing you that that fringe is still wickedly disconnected. It hangs way over the side like that, but I want to show you something. It hangs over the side when it's parted to the side, but if I comb it up and back, it lays in pretty nice. Now I don't want to lose that, but here's what I want to do. I'm going to comb this over to the side to get a feel for how it's going to lay over here. Now, over direction. This is the key of what we're leveraging here in hair cutting. I'm going to grab a razor. That's a feather freestyle hair cutting razor. I'm going to grab my zoot comb on the wide side. I'm going to take that front corner that was isolated. I'm going to pull it over to the side, but I'm not going to pull it down forward, and I'm not going to pull it straight to the side. I'm going to angle it back. I'm going to angle it back, and I'm going to hold it in my fingers. And I'm going to look for my guide underneath here, the same guide that I used when I came up the side of the head. I'm going to grab this and pull it over. Now, over direction, the principle in haircutting called over direction, is the idea. Length increases opposite the cutting point. So what that length increases opposite the cutting point. What that means is if I bring it back here to cut it, the cutting point, the hair over here is the longest because it needed to travel there to get cut. So I want to shift this back. I want to exaggerate the shift. Now, I'm going to hold the hair in my fingers. I'm going to grab my razor. I'm going to look for the guide right here. And I'm just going to come in. And I'm just going to come in. And I'm going to blend that back. Now, you'll notice as I move back, that hair is going to get shorter, moving away from the front hairline. The hair at the parting side's the longest. Now, look at how that looks now. It blends through and then it angles down just a little bit. But by leaving that longer towards the front, if I choose to slick that over the top, it falls into the rest of the haircut and it looks nice. There's a tiny little bit of taper left to be done right there, having nothing to do with any of that. But I saw it. It barked at me, so I needed to go after it. The top lays back, slicks back. The top can also, off the parting, the top can be pumped up if you choose. You got versatility, and if it's got pomade or wax and something in it like this one does, the top can begin to drop, and you got a whole lot of style going in there. But when it's combed back, it's blended in beautifully. When it's popped or pumped up, it styles fabulous. And when it's left a little heavy to droop, you got a little bit of pizzazz. That is blending your front fringe in on a pompadour or on a classic tapered men's haircut. We got a little mullet going on in the back here. We haven't cut that off. We'll save that for another video. We'll save that for another time. The podcast, every week a new edition. You want to subscribe to the podcast. It's on Spotify. It's coming soon to the Apple Music Store and many other places. Go to my link on my Instagram or go to any of my other social media presences. You'll find links to the new podcast. I also mentioned the Clipper Guy Classic Barber Blenders that are on sale. You want to do beautiful barber work like this, you got to have one of those. And of course, the utility infielder, my Cosmo Barberology Clipper Guy scissors, my favorite, 6.5. I have it in 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5, 7, and 7.5 for those people that like them in bigger sizes. And we also this morning got a look at the Zoot comb with the snap-on attachment guides or guards. If you're tuning in late on the video, go back and watch from the beginning or check it out on a replay as well. It's going to live here on my Facebook page, and I'm going to download it and pop it up to YouTube for everybody that follows and subscribes over at YouTube as well. Because, hey, there's already 1,000 videos there. Why not have a few more? IvanZoot.com. You want to be a $100,000 hair cutter? I want to help you do it. Thanks for being here. Have a great day. Bye-bye.